Lila sat cross-legged on the grassy hill overlooking her small village of Windmere. Far below, the quiet streets wound like veins through the patchwork of stone cottages and flower-dotted meadows. From up here, it looked peaceful, more peaceful than what Lila often felt inside. She let out a sigh as the breeze tickled loose strands of her auburn hair. For as long as she could remember, the wind had always whispered to her. Of course, this wasn't something Lila could tell anyone, not her mother, with her busy hands and weary smile. Not her friends who'd laugh and call it one of Lila's big ideas. To anyone else, it was just Windmere. A quiet, simple town blessed with fields of golden wheat and rolling sky, but to Lila there was something more. She had first heard them when she was 5, playing alone in the garden. A gentle Leela had rustled past her ear, so soft it could have been mistaken for the leaves brushing together. But it wasn't. Over the years, the whispers grew clearer, fragments of words, secrets, and even what she swore were hints of laughter. It was a sound that made her chest flutter, equal parts thrilling and unnerving. It wasn't until the night of her 12th birthday that the wind truly spoke to her for the first time. The memory still made her fingers tingle. It happened late after the candles on her homemade cake had flickered out. Her mother had retired early, leaving Lila alone to wander her favorite hill in the moonlight. That was when the wind came, stronger than usual and swirling, pulling at her dress like it had a mind of its own. Then, clear as crystal, it said, "Find my heart, Lila." The words stopped her breath. She had scanned the hilltop, looking for some logical explanation. A hidden prank. It was like slipping into a dream. One moment she was in the clearing, the next she was standing atop an endless ocean of clouds bathed in twilight hues of gold and violet. An enormous tree rose from the mist before her, its branches seemingly endless, stretching in all directions. Beneath it a figure stood waiting. The figure was neither man nor woman, but something in between. Tall, graceful, glowing faintly like the moon. Its eyes were like the wind itself, swirling and alive. "You've come," the being said, its voice resonating like a melody deep within her chest. Lila blinked, unsure whether to bow or run. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am Silren," the figure said, their smiles soft. "Guardian of the Whispering Wind. And you, Lila, are its listener." Someone nearby. But there was nothing. Only the wide, silent stars and the soft hush of the world sleeping below. Since that night, Lila couldn't let it go. What could the wind possibly mean? What was its heart? While other children spent their days fishing in the rivers or picking berries, Lila spent hers exploring fields, climbing trees, and creeping into the mysterious old ruins west of the village. But her search always left her empty-handed. The wind had been playful as ever, twirling her hair and tugging insistently at her feet as she walked through the meadow. But then, as she passed the edge of the forest, it suddenly stopped altogether, eerily still, unnervingly quiet. That was when she heard the voice again. "Tonight!" And now, as she gazed out over the village, her heart thumped nervously in time with the distant toll of the church bell marking twilight. What did the wind mean by tonight? She stared at the sky above the forest, which was already streaked with the blush of evening. Without fully making the decision, Lila found herself heading toward the grove. The woods were alive with the hum of crickets and the occasional hoot of an owl as she wove between the trees. The breeze returned, but this time it was urgent, tugging at her cloak, nudging her deeper into the shadows. Lila's heart raced, but she wasn't scared. This was her mystery, her moment. Whatever was waiting for her, she had to know. She emerged into a clearing she'd never seen before, illuminated by a pale shaft of moonlight. In its center stood an old wooden archway, the kind that might have once marked the entrance to a garden, though no other structure surrounded it. The wind swirled around her in giddy spirals, almost like it was urging her forward. Then it spoke again. "Step through." Lila hesitated. The air around the arch seemed to shimmer faintly, almost like heat waves rising off a summer road. She leaned closer, peering through it, but the other side was just more forest, dark, deep, and silent. Her hand hovered in the air before her, trembling. "Trust me," the wind urged, now soft and gentle. How could a voice feel so warm and so certain? Screwing up her courage, Lila took a deep breath and stepped through. It was like slipping into a dream. One moment she was in the clearing, the next she was standing atop an endless ocean of clouds bathed in twilight hues of gold and violet. An enormous tree rose from the mist before her, its branches seemingly endless, stretching in all directions. Beneath it, a figure stood waiting. The figure was neither man nor woman, but something in between, tall, graceful, glowing faintly like the moon. Its eyes were like the wind itself, swirling and alive. "You've come," the being said, its voice resonating like a melody deep within her chest. Lila blinked, unsure whether to bow or run. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am Silren," the figure said, their smile soft. "Guardian of the Whispering Wind, and you, Lila, are its listener." "I don't understand," Lila said. Silren gestured toward the massive tree, their expression patient. "The Wind Child is not just air, not just motion. It is the keeper of memories, carrying the whispers of all who've come before you. But it is scattered, searching for its heart, and you have been chosen to help it find wholeness again." Lila felt her pulse quicken. "Why me?" Silren's gaze twinkled with something like fondness. "Because your heart knows how to listen, truly listen, and in listening there is great power." As Silren spoke, the wind around Lila began to hum, filling her ears and her very soul. And in that moment she understood. The wind wasn't seeking its heart. It had already found it. It was her. She was the bridge, the connection between its scattered fragments. "You are the voice that mends," Silren said softly. "Now your journey begins." And just like that, Lila was back in the clearing, the wind singing joyously in her ears. The archway was gone, but the sense of purpose in her chest remained. From that night on, Lila was no longer just the girl who heard the wind. She was its keeper, its heart, and its voice. And the winds of Windmere would never be the same again.